obviously the main aim of CALM and CALMzine is to get men talking and not bottling stuff up. So silence is killing us is obviously something that we strongly believe in. So, just have very quick questions about inner workings, perhaps.
Okay.
What advice would you give to your 15-year-old self?
That's a very good question. There's all sorts of advice I give to my 15-year-old self I probably shouldn't refer to right now. But actually, the advice I would give you is slightly older. I became clinically depressed in my sort of 20s, in my late 20s. And I was lucky insofar as I wasn't lucky at clinically depressed. Clinical depression, which a lot of people don't understand. I was talking about it to Danny, who came along. I don't know if you know Danny. He was at risk of suicide, and CALM, in his mind, saved him from that. And we were both sharing from completely different backgrounds, sharing the fact that suicide or depression and the terrible result of it, which can be suicide, is not understood as being just sort of sadness. That's what we would understand, is that depression is an illness. It feels like an illness. It feels more like pneumonia than sadness, and that's what it leads to. If it's interminable, that's what it leads to suicide. So I think that in terms of your question, I didn't need the advice that CALM in fact offers, because I did just go straight to therapy. Because I was from, I guess, the kind of Jewish bohemian background that meant that therapy never seemed to be like a stigma. I just went into it, and it was really helpful. Yeah. Really helpful. But for people who don't come from a place where that's the thing they're going to do, then I think CALM, that's what it does. It says, there is something you can go to talk about.
And it's this idea of, I know some people say you suffer from depression, both male and female, this idea that people have this attitude towards depression is just pull yourself together.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the key thing. That's the key thing I'm trying to say, I guess, in that it's not a question of pulling yourself together. Putting yourself together is something you can probably do if you feel a bit sad. But actually, it has almost no relationship to feeling a bit sad. It has much more relationship to a physical illness. So you wouldn't say to someone with pneumonia, pull yourself together. You'd try and give them something that got them into a place of health, whatever that might be. And so that's why. And young men in particular, it seems to me, don't quite understand that that's what they might have. I think a lot of them won't even recognise that that's what they have. And so I think making that clear, it might even be one way through it, I think, is making it clear that depression is an illness might make it easier for men to talk about it. Because they can talk about having an illness, they can't talk about feeling bad.
Yes, well, because that's the thing as well, because CALM obviously is there for people who are suffering from clinical depression, but it's also for people who are just having a bit of a shit time and struggling and want someone to talk to.
No, that's true.
And it's this idea of, obviously suicide rates are much, much higher in men than they are with women. And there's an assumption to be made there that because women can talk about things perhaps easier or find it easier to talk to their friends. This whole idea of bottling up, keep calm and carry on sort of thing is something that obviously we need to combat. Do you think? I mean, how do you think the best way to get that message across to young men that they can?
Well, CALM doing it, I think, pretty well. I think the problem with CALM is not they're not doing it, but that it's not widespread enough a message out there, due to such lack of funding and due to the fact that the media in general don't think it's that interesting a subject. But I think the way that CALM do it, which is cool, for want of a better word, it is cool what CALM do, and that's good. The reason that that's actually good is that it's young men who've got to be heard, and they're interested in that stuff. They're interested in DJs, they're interested in rock music, they're interested in comedians or whatever. And so I think that it's useful for those people to talk about the fact that it's not necessarily all rosy in their worlds either. One of the reasons, I guess, why I've talked about depression, apart from the fact that it's been quite good material for me, is that I think it is important that people in the public eye don't just say, well, I'm great, because I think if you're not great, you can look on that and feel very excluded.
Yes.
So I think it's good that young men are told, wherever you are, whatever background, you can get depressed, you can get sad, and so you're not alone.
And it's not a sign of weakness.
No, it's not a sign of weakness. I literally do not understand the idea that it's a sign of weakness. A, to be like that, and B, to talk about it. Because I kind of think, no, it's a sign of complexity and depth and interest.
And this is the point that CALM is trying to across people, that isn't something to be ashamed of, it's something to
Well, what I kind of think is,
illness,
I know this is the wrong thing to say, but I kind of think, how dull must you be to never feel sad? Everyone must feel sad. The ability to talk about it seems to me to make you an interesting person.
Yeah. A couple of very quick ones.
Yeah.
What keeps you awake at night?
Well, I used to have terrible insomnia, which was linked to depression actually. It used to be really bad. But since I've had children, funnily enough, I sleep much better because they wake me up really early in the morning and then I'm tired. So that's really helped me.
Do you have any guilty pleasures? Songs, films,
I don't
books,
believe in guilty
anything?
pleasures. I don't believe it because I think
Correct
if you like
answer,
something, you shouldn't feel guilty about it.
Yes.
So I kind of think, for example, I liked the Carpenters like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? When it was completely uncool to like the Carpenters, but I thought, no, those are brilliant, beautiful songs and she's got the best voice in the world. Then it became a guilty pleasure and I was kind of pissed off about that. Because I thought, no, it's just brilliant and I don't want to seem cool.
Yeah, final question. What is your main rule for living life?
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, that's quite a big question, that last question. What is my main rule for living life?
What's your mantra like?
Well, I have a mantra. I tell you, I do have a mantra actually. And my mantra is the truth is always complex, right? And that is how I live my life. The truth is always complex. You've got to accept that. You've got to realise that nothing is black and white. No one is completely good or completely evil, apart from possibly Hitler, who was completely evil. And I'm trying to think of someone who's completely good, Nelson Mandela. So apart from those two, everyone else is in the middle. And else stuff, you've got to be able to prepare to. Truth is always complex means you always have to talk about stuff.
Yes. Perfect. Thank you so much.
That's all right. Nice to meet you too.